Well, let's jump to another topic. Here's the argument. You make 7 of the 11 appointments to the MMSD board. You criticize Pratt in an earlier mayoral race for sewage, and you promise to eliminate combined sewer overflows. So the argument goes, you're responsible for what raw sewage MMSD puts into our waterways. How would you assess your oversight of the district and the district's performance since you took office? Are you in charge? If not, why run on the issue earlier? And did you fulfill your promise to eliminate combined sewer overflows?
Well, let me go back to 2004 and talk about my promises and what I was critical of at that time. There were several things. I was critical of the fact that the district had a lot of sole source contracts. Those have been eliminated. I was critical of the fact that the commissioners received health insurance for a job that paid $10,000 a year. And there's nothing wrong with having that for people in lower paid jobs, but this is admittedly a part-time job. And to give full benefits for a very, very part-time job, I felt that was wrong. I did set as a goal and continue to have as a goal to end those discharges. And so we certainly accomplished the sole source contracting, except in emergencies. I immediately changed the policy that allowed commissioners to get those health insurance policies. We started right after I came in an analysis of the district and what we should be doing. And we worked on expansion. And during the 6 years I have been mayor, the capacity of the system has expanded by 28%. And one of the ironies in all of this is the expansion would have been even greater than that had the reservoir or the basin in Hyde Park and Wauwatosa been in place right now, because that's some 300 million gallons. The original capacity of the system is some 400 million gallons. We've added probably 117 since I've become mayor. But it would have been an additional, literally a doubling of the capacity. But certainly one of the people who slowed that down was County Executive Scott Walker. And if you go back and look at some of the correspondence and some of your articles in the paper in the 2002-2003 time period and the frustration that the mayor of Wauwatosa had at that time because of his insistence to have another party come in and look at this, you'll see a much different scenario. So do I want to see them end? Yes. Have we been able to end them? No, not in their entirety. But I think we certainly have made significant progress in...
Do you think that ending them completely is a realistic?
I don't know that we'll ever be able to fight God, I guess is the best way for me to answer that. And clearly in the last battle we didn't win. If you have eight plus inches of rain in 2 hours, I don't know there's a system in the world that could handle that. I don't know that there is.
Right.
So maybe that was a mistake to say that. I felt that we could. I still think we can do better, quite honestly. But I think it's also important to look at the number of discharges that have occurred before the system was in place and where they are now. And my attempts, both as a member of Congress and as mayor, to increase the capacity of this system. This is not an issue that I just have had a passing interest in. And since I've been mayor, I've been out to Washington twice. Once on the issue of seeking federal funds, again for the basin in Wauwatosa, and second to appear before a committee talking about what I have labeled the invisible infrastructure, the whole issue of sewers, and how we have a responsibility. And that, if there's a place where I've had an education since I've become mayor, it is certainly in the issue of sewers. But I felt it was a good goal at the time. I still think it's a good goal. Do I think, can I guarantee at this point now, having seen this type of rain, that we can get there with certainty? I can't guarantee it, but I still think it's a good goal to have.
So by virtue of appointing 7 of 11, you are in charge of the district, do you think?
I do not get involved in the day-to-day operations of the district. Kevin Schaefer runs the district, obviously. We have communications with him. We have regular meetings with him. I certainly, again, I am not ignorant of what's going on there in the larger sense, And he knows the direction I want, which is more capacity in this system. And we have had that conversation many times. And I think that he has tried to do it. We've also tried, and I give him a lot of credit here, we've tried not to make this an agency where it's a city pitted against the suburbs. There are 28 communities that are part of MMSD. Milwaukee County has 39 miles of sewers that are part of MMSD. And so he has tried, with my encouragement, to really reach out and try to bring everybody in, because the issues that we face don't stop at any municipal boundaries. But you'll have people say, yes, that I'm in control. Yes, I do control the majority of the appointments. And what I look for is a diversity of people with interests, with geographic representation, and with knowledge. So like many other boards, one could say, well, the executive controls that. You could say the same thing with the Fire and Police Commission. You could say it with many different boards. But it is certainly true that this is an issue that I take very seriously in terms of what we have to do, because people's lives are impacted by it.
Okay.
Could
Go ahead.
I- On the basin in Hyde Park, if that was in place, that wouldn't have affected the flooding along Lincoln Creek, would it?
Well, no, that's obviously to the west here.
Yeah.
The lion's share of the problems were in the north central part of the city,
Right.
in Shorewood and Whitefish Bay.
Right.
I do not know, so I cannot say for certain that would have solved the problem. In fact, if you look at the amount of water that went into the lake,
Right.
that was far more than the amount that basin would hold. That does not mean that, had that basin been in place, that some of that water could have gone in there. And I don't know the answer to that. But I think, just from a logical standpoint, the more you have in that basin, the less comes into the deep tunnel altogether, and that's part of the problem we had coming from the north. So I think it would have aided. Again, I'm not going to say that it would have completely avoided it, because just on pure math alone, it wouldn't have completely avoided it. But it certainly could have had an impact.